Hey, what's going on, Flawless fam? Will here, coming to you guys with another video. This video is actually going to be inspired by last week's video on Flawless Exotic Creations. We got a bunch of IG messages as far as on that scaling of your business on Flawless Exotic Creations, as far as in reference and talking about it with Flawless Crested Geckos. We'll touch on it just a little bit as far as a overall kind of blanket touch on this and that, as far as the struggles and business startup and the times we're in right now. I mean, that's not really one of the main things everyone is talking about nowadays because of inflation and the economy and everything else. Well, the biggest thing about everything is as far as scaling a business, and the questions that we were receiving were, does it make sense to start a business in the current economy, or the current state of the economy now? I mean, that's a question honestly only you can answer, because if you're asking yourself, is it a good time to start a business in the current economy? I mean, it's the same thing. Like, is it a good time to go to work in the same economy? Whether you work for someone or work for yourself, I mean, you still have to work at some point. So I would never push somebody in one direction or the other when it pertains to taking care of your family, taking care of yourselves, and take care of your future. But hopefully this video could shed a little insight. Didn't do too much as far as prep work for this. Took some notes because we've already started, obviously, Flawless Crested Geckos many years ago now, and we've done a couple videos on what we would do differently, and I would have loved to have videos like this to watch or listen to when we got started. So that being said, one of the first struggles of business startup is going to be lack of capital. If you don't have any funds saved, or you don't have a substantial amount of money coming in, and what I mean by substantial is you have money that's coming in, you're not doing, let's say, check to check, you have some or low overhead wherever you reside, whether it's owning your home or renting your home, but you have excess, where you put it away to savings or other investments. You need to probably start, pulling a little bit away from that, to not necessarily pull from it, but direct it toward your passion and your dream of what the outcome you want it to be. So lack of capital is going to be number one major deterrent, major obstacle, major hurdle to getting your business off the ground. Then very closely followed by risk and uncertainty. I put it in the same category because risk and uncertainty, they really go neck and neck. You can have uncertainty about something, but be willing to take the risk, or not willing to take the risk because you're uncertain. The thing about business ownership, you can't dictate from the very beginning what you're gonna produce, what you're gonna make financially. Let's face it, everybody that goes into business, you want to obviously bring a return in at some point. That's the uncertainty part. You walk away from a job where you get paid twice a month, or every 2 weeks, or every week. You have a guaranteed check that you're pretty much, as long as you show up to work, that you'll receive. So the uncertainty of you applying yourself to anything else for an uncertain amount of time, at 100% throughout that time, and not reaping the instant monetary gratification, it tends to deter people from going down that path. That's why there's way more workers than there are business owners, and it's designed that way. It's going to be that way, because unfortunately this is not everyone gets a trophy type of situation. Some businesses fail. Most businesses fail. So the ones that make it and survive, you want to analyze those businesses and see if you can apply anything that they're doing in a positive manner to what you have in front of you. We do that on a regular basis. Other thing is what we talked about today, actually, on our VBS series of our motivational clips and reels on Instagram, was time management. When we went into the business ownership side of Flawless Crested Geckos, we were like, yeah, we're going to leave the police force. We were already working crazy amounts of hours. Audra and I were never seeing each other. And it was just really stressful. So when we walked away to dedicate all our time to ourselves and work for ourselves, we said, oh man, we're going to have so much time. We're going to have this extra time and everything. Man, we ain't got no extra time. We do see each other a ton more, but we're grinding. We're grinding our hearts out. A lot of times, you have to know what it takes, or at least have a vision of what it takes to be successful. Sometimes you don't know exactly 100% what's in front of you. You just got to go down that road and know that you're doing the right thing. Audra and I've done that 100 times already, where when we built the facility, that was one thing right there. We were vending, we were promoting, we were marketing, advertising, and still photographing, feeding, taking care of our collection, tending to our children, cooking dinner, the whole 9 yards. And it may be inconceivable, but I mean, I can sit here in front of you and tell you it's been many times where you literally go 72 plus hours with no sleep. Literally, out working on the facility, whether I'm insulating with spotlights in the middle of the night and my alarm on my phone is going off and I'm coming up to the house to wake the kids up for school because it's 6 a.m. work through the night. So while they're sleeping, I'm grinding away, fresh off of just making them dinner before, putting them in the shower to go to bed, and prior to that, we were feeding geckos. So all your days tend to flow together. And it's not just once in a blue moon that things like that happen. It's just, you have, I'll say, I know for me, I'm blessed to have Audra. We work well as a unit. A lot of things as a team, you can have one person do one thing and another person do the other. But then when you stack up both schedules and you're both ripping and running, because you have obviously the common goal, you have other things that pop up where you have to kind of think of solutions on the fly. So I say all that about time management. Manage your time wisely. Yes, you want to enjoy the joys of life, but sometimes you got to go through that grind phase. Are you willing to, have sleepless days, sleepless nights, and grind in the earlier stages of business startup, just so you can relax a little bit more toward the middle to end and have more room to breathe, have more time to vacation, more time to spend together, more time to grow your business without having to grind. So it's a well-needed sacrifice. Then marketing and sales, obviously, that's gonna be a huge struggle for a business startup. People want to know who you are. People want to know that you're reputable. People want to know, especially in this realm of the business world, we have a lot of people that start businesses or get in and get out, or take a leave of absence. And we wanted to pride ourselves on not doing any of that. If you guys are a part of our Patreon, you'll know that we pride ourselves on putting out consistent content, positive content, and what's behind that, you need to make sure, even if you're single, even if you're married, even if you have a long-term girlfriend or boyfriend, you need to sit down and literally have that business conversation with them, because this is your future, and or your comfort, or whatever it may be for you. This is that. That being said, guess what? when we're sitting down and, you know, if Audra and I are, you know, not seeing eye to eye, no one cares. They want to see some pretty geckos. You know, if, you know, we're too busy and this and that, they want to see some pretty geckos every day or every other day. So we made that a rule at the very beginning of the business, that we had to make sure that the business is going to be straight no matter what.
Hey guys, Flawless Crested Geckos here, Will, Audra, and we're here to tell you about our Patreon.
Yes, going through tough times, you got to know that Flawless is always going to have your back. If you go over to patreon.com/flawlesscrestedgeckos, you'll see all the perks and benefits it is there for you to come and support us on our Patreon. $50 a month turns around and goes right back into your Flawless Crested Geckos savings account for you to use towards your next purchase.
Any purchase. We also give awesome benefits such as 5% off the top of the price of the gecko. We give free merchandise, t-shirts, we have stainless steel tables, tools, yes. All kinds of goodies. We also give free shipping to our members all year round, no blackout dates. And, you know, we give awesome tips, or we think we do anyway.
That's right. So go over to patreon.com/flawlesscrestedgeckos
and join our family.
Sales, scaling and growth, which is where the base of this video come from. You know, don't outscale your business. You know, just because you want your business to be self-sustainable, you can always set short-term goals, mid-term goals, and then long-term goals. And those goals may change according to how your business changed and how your business struggles and what you do to adjust to different obstacles. So don't be afraid that if you're not meeting the bar, meeting the quota on what you want, maybe there were some things in there that needed to be changed. Just make sure you don't change things just to make it easier. Sometimes things are meant to be hard and difficult. I think this is the last one. So, yes, this is the last one. Managing cash flow. All right. If you guys take anything from this video, I would like for it to be this topic at this point. You know, I'm gonna throw numbers out there for you guys because we were just talking about it, which sparked a lot of conversation in inbox. It was really good, really positive. We took a lot that we made from the Geckos and started a new business, Flawless Exotic Creations. In the height of the reptile market, in the reptile industry, we did a business startup. Therefore, there's animals we purchased then that's probably worth half now. And we smile because it's still so many different avenues to still be successful in doing the same thing. If you ask us now, will we do it all over again? We'll do it all over again. People are like, what? That's crazy. And it's not. You have to manage your cash flow. So that means mitigating all your risks. If that means you have hefty car payments or, you know, mortgages and things like that. Anything that's very real where you can kind of pay it down, pay it off, loans and things of the sort, get it done. So we went into this thing with no loans in order to attack it the best way possible. And reason that this topic is really huge because you also need to stop worrying about paying yourself, and worry about your projects, pushing the envelope, trying to be an industry leader in whatever field that you may be entering, and perfecting your craft. You have to be your number one customer. We talk all the time about that, and we want to actually be living and breathing that. We passed up, we did in the Flawless Diamond series videos on how we missed out on a lot of money, and we would do it all over again because it's not always about the money. You need to make sure you do your numbers, your checks and balances on making things make sense. But just because you can make a huge chunk of change off of an animal that, you know, you may have created as your goal, your number one goal animal, it doesn't mean that you probably should sell that animal, because that animal may be a key component on the next step of your business. So every single time that we made those animals, they never go anywhere. they are staying here. We've literally turned out insane amounts of money, life-changing amounts of money at this point. But the way we think about it, we've already kind of changed our lives. And it will, keeping these animals and turning down the money actually continues us along the path of continuing to change our lives. It's seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and continuing to strive forward toward it. So that's the biggest thing. As money tends to come in, don't spend it. Don't pay yourself, directly first. Live within your means. Keep your means very, moderate, and continue with your passion. Don't get upside down, but continue with your passion. Because you never know, that's that mental grind, financial grind phase. You keep things tight in the earlier stages. You may have your facility in the next couple of years. You may, branch off into other species. You may branch off into other businesses. We want to branch off more into even real estate, diversify. Again, if you're on our Patreon, we talk about umbrellas where, we have the Flawless brand, and then it tapers off into the Flawless Crested Geckos. Flawless is out of creations. We may do Flawless real estate. We may do the whole umbrella, and that's what we want to stand for. But anyway, it's just a little bit of a convo for you guys today. Let us know down in the comments if, videos like this are very helpful. A lot of people, it's interesting. A lot of people are going through the same things, mental struggles as everyone else. And we get a lot of comments about, some of the videos we put out being very encouraging. And it helps them, almost with our proof of concept series and things like that, where it helps them obviously make sense of things. The biggest, question we were getting, we're like, what? You spend $500,000 in an up market, the market quote unquote tanks, and you're spending $500,000 and your goal is to make 50 grand a year? That makes no sense. It makes perfect sense. I would hope that any business owner, if you were, or any person, don't even have to be a business owner, ask yourself right now, and it has nothing to do with you enjoying your job. It has nothing to do with, actually, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Don't even think about owning a business. Don't even think about working for someone. Ask yourself this. For a person, if you're given the option, would you want to have $500,000 sitting in an account that you can't touch? You're 30 years old, and it's going to be there for you in 30 years when you turn 60. Which is early. When you turn 60, you're gonna have $500,000 sitting right there for you to enjoy during your retirement. Or would you rather be able to spend, I'm not even gonna say you're gonna reap the rewards, because you will, but you're gonna spend $500,000 at 30 years old and turn around only generates you $50,000 a year forever. It's a no-brainer. 10 years in, you'll be 40 years old, and you made your $500,000 back. And by the time you're 60, you'd have made 1.5. I mean, yes, there's different variables in it, but it's just like I said, sometimes you got to go against the grain and don't go along with everybody else. But anyway, hopefully this video is positive for you guys and changes your day and makes you think about some things, make you go, Anyways, Flawless Crested Geckos, we out.